Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, hopefully one of your favorite official content creators for the First Descendant, and today, what I'm going to do in this video is show you guys how we play Ultimate Luna. I'm going to explain everything about it, how you're supposed to actually play her. I'll try and demonstrate it as best I can, and show you what you're supposed to do. Alright, so if you're interested in that, this is the video for you. Now before we carry on, please make sure if you haven't already done so, register me as your official content creator. Okay, the link is in my video description. And second of all, if you haven't already done so, you can check out my music on SoundCloud. The more tracks you play, all right, the more I will release music. I'm really hoping to get some done, especially because the K-pop has been a bit popular. I normally release album by album, but I might kind of skip the K-pop ahead because a lot of people have been liking that with Ultimate Luna. All right, now, thank you for that. All right, let's get started, shall we? Okay. So the first thing you need to understand about Ultimate Luna is that she will, okay, get on her platform and shoot, okay? If you notice, there are arrows that are coming toward the center. Do you see the markings there? If the arrows are close enough to the center, all right, and you trigger the shot, you'll see a white flash. Sorry, you'll see a colored flash on the sides. If the arrows are far away, you'll see a red flash around the marker indicating that you missed the note. That is how her entire system works. Now, as you hit notes, you will fill up the custom bar down the bottom. Take a look at her passive. All right. Whenever, okay, if you read the passive, let me just remove my cam so I don't obstruct anything. Okay. Every time you have a successful hit, right? Successful hit refers to your first skill. There's a 40% chance you will gain 1 bar of the inspiration gauge. You need 8 bars in order to trigger Fever Time, which is the enhanced skill. Every time you successfully use a skill referring to triggering one of these, there's a 30% chance of gaining an inspiration gauge note. Okay? So, when shooting, all right, you've got a 40% chance whenever you successfully hit the note in the center. You don't have to hit a target, all right? But when you successfully hit the note in the center, you've got a 40% chance of getting inspiration for your gauge, all right? 8 bars, you fill it up, and you can trigger an enhanced skill. This enhanced skill will last until you get off the platform, all right? Or until the duration ends. The duration, in accordance with the build that I have, should last about, say, 16 seconds. Well, 15 seconds, sorry. Okay, now.
Are you ready?
Triggering skills in timing with the notes, okay, will cause it to cost nothing. There's no MP cost, and you have a chance of gaining inspiration as well, 30% chance, all right? You can trigger them as many times as you like, but the buffs do not, the buffs will refresh in duration, but there's nothing special about them. If you really want to enhance the skill, you have to have a full custom bar, all right? And realistically, right, with the lazy build later on, you can technically just hold down the key, all right, fill up your inspiration gauge, then trigger fever mode, and then you'll be able to rapid fire, all right? That is the basics of how Ultimate Luna skill works when you are using the Battlefield Concert Transcendent mod, okay? So the other thing that I'm going to teach you guys as part of the basics before we actually get into combat is that you need to have an option enabled. A lot of people said their Luna is firing slow. Change your firing mode. This is one of the 5 tips that I've shown you guys in my video. 5 essential tips, all right? If you guys cannot find that video, ask in the comments. I'll happily link you to it. But basically, if you don't have change firing mode on, right, you cannot hold down the key. Luna will fire 1 at a time, all right? But if you enable this, change firing mode on, it's under gameplay, by the way, she can fire continuously, all right? This is crucial in order to actually get good damage with Luna. So if you didn't enable that setting, which I told you all to enable in the video, that's your problem, okay? All right, let's carry on, shall we? Now, you understand how she works, but what about how her skills and debuffs trigger? Okay, for this, we're gonna need to spawn an enemy. So we'll just spawn a sad Order of Truth guy. All right, there he goes. All right, fantastic. Now, when it comes to Fever Time, All right. Fever Time refers to the enhanced skill that she triggers. All right. She's got one. Oops, sorry. She's got. I was on the bossing loadout instead of the farming loadout. Later, I'll go through the difference between MP Collector and Decimator, which you would have seen in my original build. This is the original build I showed you guys yesterday. Okay. I'll talk about the differences between the two a little bit later because you need to know which playstyle is best for you, but I'll explain that in a little while. Okay. Now, for her skills, okay, they've got two effects. One is the basic effect. For example, Passionate Stage, every skill has a buff. Passionate Stage's buff to you is a 30% increase in your skill critical hit rate, which amounts to about 5% more crit. Okay, and 30% skill power modifier per debuff applied to the enemy. Okay, per harmful effect. You can have up to 3 harmful effects, so the maximum skill power you can get is 90%. The other thing is her earworm debuff, which reduces the movement speed of the enemy by 50%. This will always be applied. Now, the other effect, dopamine addiction, okay, is a special stun effect that is only applied if the enemy is within range of your fever time. When you trigger fever time for about a short duration, you will deal damage you will deal damage right in front of you for a very short duration of time, okay? And during this short duration, you will deal damage every 0.2 seconds, okay, right in front of you, and also inflict the dopamine addiction debuff. How does that work? It's best if you see it visually, okay? Dopamine addiction is a stun, right? So first, I will trigger it at a distance. If I trigger the first skill at a distance, do you see that I'm not inflicting the earworm debuff? There's no stun. The enemy is not stunned. Even if I were to go up close, the enemy is not stunned. All right? The debuff is exactly the same all the way till the end. All right? This is the earworm debuff that will reduce their movement speed. But if I were to trigger it within range of the enemy,
Are you ready?
all right up close, right here. Okay, I trigger my first skill again. Boom.
Real feel for it.
Do you see that short duration where I'm dealing extra damage to the enemy? It's a boatload of extra damage and the enemy is stunned. Do you see the stun effect? Okay, so if you are too far away from the enemy, you won't get the additional thing. The range is 4 meters, which isn't very long. All right, 4 meters is, I think, yeah, around about here-ish. This is about 4 meters. If you go beyond that, you won't get it, all right? But it's just a very short duration during the initial, I think, 4 or 5-ish seconds of your fever time. Okay, so that is how it works, and that is what matters for her skills. The first skill that you trigger, okay, can inflict an additional debuff depending on your distance from the enemy. So let's say you want to use the third skill's algorithm domination, which would increase the damage enemies receive by 12%. Okay, take note that if you trigger fever time in front of the enemy, you will inflict this. Now, there's something else to take note. All right, let me show you. Okay.
Time to dance.
This time we trigger the third skill. All right, we've inflicted the dopamine. We've inflicted all eyes on me. But do you know that the debuff from shooting doesn't trigger? If you happen to trigger that debuff on the enemy, all right, the normal debuff of your skill will not supersede it. What does this mean? This means that if you trigger the algorithm domination, you cannot trigger all eyes on me. All right? You can trigger the other debuffs, but the debuff from the blue skill that is triggered on an enemy that's already suffering from algorithm domination cannot suffer from all eyes on me. All right? So this is just a little something to take note. It doesn't drastically affect your combat, but just take note that the fever time debuff takes priority over the normal debuff. Now, most of the time, you're not going to be in close proximity to an enemy. You're actually going to be firing at range. The next question that people ask is, how do you trigger all 3 debuffs on enemies? Simple. Okay, in combat, what you need to learn, other than all this little debuff stuff, is that in combat, you will want to trigger all 3 skills. This is to give yourself, okay, the 3 buffs, The first buff is your skill power modifier, critical hit rate. The second buff is your it establishes an explosion range that inflicts debuffs of your skills on all enemies within the range. Okay, so it'll just help to spread your debuffs. And the third skill is the triple beam. Okay, so you need all 3 buffs at all times. Now, in order to do this, all right, when you go into fever time, I'm going to explain exactly how to do this because you're going to see this in the combat demonstration later. Okay, I want you to keep up with me.
Let the show begin.
Trigger the first skill on a note. All right, so whichever one you want as your first skill, pick the debuff. So I usually use stuns if I'm solo. So let's say I want the stuns, right? I'll go 1, 2, 3, and I just trigger all 3. And there you go. You see that the enemy is inflicted with like 3 debuffs at the same time. Now one of them is the stun debuff, which has gone away. And I can no longer inflict the first debuff on them. But if I were to do the same thing at a distance, you'll see 3 debuffs. In fact, let's clean up the scene. I'll take away my inversion reinforcer, so you don't have to worry about that. I'll even take away my arcade tuning. All right, so we'll just take away my arcade tuning for a second. Okay, and watch this. 1, 2, 3. See, 3 debuffs right there. Very simple, right? And these are all the 3 debuffs that I talked about, which is Earworm, All Eyes on Me, and Fan Club Member. Okay, so that is how Luna works. You need to trigger all 3 skills, and only, excuse me, only the first skill has to be when the notes match up. The other skills don't have to be when the note matches up. All right, but there is a rhythm to it. If you do it too fast, let me show you. If you do it too fast, there's also a problem. Watch. If you do it too fast, oops, sorry, I wasn't able to trigger it, but you might have seen it more on stream than here. It's hard to forcefully trigger it, but...
Are you ready?
Okay, did you see that? My skills went on cooldown. This is because they were off timing. If the timing is off, they will go on cooldown. So although you can't see the beats coming in when you first trigger fever time, there's still a rhythm to it. The rhythm to get used to, all right, when triggering her skills is very simple. All right, here's what I do. 1, 2, 3. It's just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Let's do it again.
Time to dance.
Assuming the first skill's note matches up. 1, 2, 3. Do you see it's all note hits? 1, 2, 3. Oops, sorry. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Get used to that rhythm because you're going to be using it in the field as well. In combat, when you trigger fever time, you follow the same rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Your skills don't go on cooldown. MP is still consumed, but your skills don't go on cooldown. This is pretty important because you don't want your skills to go on cooldown. In case you get knocked down by an enemy, you better hope that your skills don't go on cooldown. Okay, so that's pretty important. Do not let your skills go on cooldown no matter what. Timing is crucial. Okay? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The other thing to note is that when firing, okay, if you are on timing with the notes, there's no MP consumed while firing. This affects both playstyles of Luna, whereby if you use the correct timing, some people prefer that. That is with Decimator. The other one is the lazy build, which I will show you. So now you understand how her skills work, how to combine her skills. All right. Again, I'll refresh you. Only the first skill matters for the additional effect. The rest can just be triggered, and all 3 debuffs will be inflicted. All 3 buffs are given to you. So the order of your skills doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the first skill, okay, which will inflict the additional debuff on enemies in front of you. And the last skill will decide the color of your laser. If that matters to you, okay, the last skill is important for the color of the laser. The middle skill doesn't matter. So I'm a simple man. C, V, Z. Second, third, fourth. I just do that. The only time I change is if I know that I'm fighting a single target, a boss, okay, like a Colossus that I want to deal additional damage to, then I go third, second, fourth. And again, that's just because the purple laser looks nice. Okay? Otherwise, you could go third, fourth, second if you like the orange laser. Simple. Whatever combination works for you. Okay? All right. Now that you understand this, let's go demonstrate this in combat. Seeing this in the laboratory is all well and good, but I'm sure you guys want to see it in actual combat. So let me show you. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm going to teach you the normal way to play her, and then I'll teach you the lazy way. All right, so everything is set. Inversion reinforcer set. Weapons set. Okay, let's go. Battlefield mission. Okay, there we go. AX Refinery. As always, no need to cut all this out because I want you guys to see that I'm doing this legit. Okay, no hidden factors, nothing special behind the scenes. Now time for a lozenge. All right, fam, let's do this. So first, we're gonna ride out. Riders on the storm. If you give this man a ride, sweet family will die. Killer on the road. Okay.
When you start the mission,
hop right on your hoverboard. Alright? My playstyle is to hit notes. I don't mind if there's a target or not. I just hit the notes. Then, I get ready to trigger fever time. Once fever time is ready, 2, 3. You see that? 1, 2, 3, and I'm ready to go. Then I start blasting.
Bogus special assault ship identified. Descendant. I picked up a mutant material formation.
I keep an eye on the green buff on the left-hand side. Once fever time ends and my MP starts to get consumed, I go back to hitting notes. This is the original playstyle that I use. It's more efficient MP-wise and allows you to make use of Decimator, which can up your damage in the field. But it does cost you some time in between fever time sequences. So do take note of that.
Descendant. There is a tactical objective which needs to be destroyed.
I only pay attention to the notes. I don't actually care about dealing damage to the enemies. Outside of fever time, I don't worry about it. Alright? This is the playstyle. This is the playstyle, the original playstyle that I used.
Descendant. A tactical objective needs your protection.
Even when I'm outside of fever time, alright? I will aim down sights like I showed you and just do that. Then 1, 2, 3, and there we go. Then once I'm in fever time, I bust on everything.
Descendant, a powerful attack will take down the assault ship. Please engage.
Alright, I'll give you some of the other tips in a little while, but this is the basics. Once my fever time ends, I go back to hitting my notes. Now, sometimes you might forget, alright? You might not measure it exactly when it ends when you're in intense combat. So train yourself, if you're going to use this playstyle, train yourself to look constantly at the MP bar. If it starts getting consumed, switch to firing your notes slowly. You know, take a chill pill, relax. Doesn't matter whether you hit the target, you just have to hit the notes. After that, then go ham. Alright? That's the basic playstyle when you're doing this. Now, remember what I taught you about aiming down the sights. Just like with a normal weapon, you can aim down the sights, alright? You can aim with your whatever button you press to aim. You can aim and trigger multiple beams on the target, especially if you have this third buff. Sorry, the fourth skill active, alright? There we go. 1, 2, 3, all buffs triggered, off I go. Now, I'm deliberately playing slower than I normally do for your benefit, so you guys can keep up with my actions. But in actuality, once you're actually fighting in the field, you'll want to go faster. Alright? Start hitting the notes. As soon as you've got the buff, 1, 2, 3, there you go. You can blow up any high-level target by focusing your beams. Otherwise, just let the auto-aim do the work. There you go. Take out the ships, and you're going to have a great time. If you start consuming MP, please be careful. You can trigger your buffs anytime without triggering the cooldown, but don't press all 3 skills because you want to ensure that you don't accidentally trigger your Enlightened Mage set. Alright? I'll talk about that in a little while so that you more thoroughly understand it. But that'll be in the advanced combat section. For now, I just want you to grasp the basics of the active playstyle. This is the active playstyle whereby you try to hit notes. Essentially, you're going to be playing Ultimate Luna's minigame. The lazy style, which I'll show you next, you can sort of ignore the game, but it still comes with some rules that you need to follow. I'll do my best to explain those rules to you. And did you know you can stun elites and commanders like this? This is one of the benefits of triggering your active style on them. Alright? And that's the mission over. That is the active playstyle. Now I'm going to show you the lazy playstyle. How do you do the lazy playstyle? Okay. Change Decimator to MP Collector. Alright? This will allow you to spam your skills without worrying as much about MP. This enables you to sort of skip the minigame in a twisted way. Let me show you. Let's restart the mission, shall we?
Descendant, a large cluster of breach creatures has been detected in the area.
When it comes to the lazy playstyle, okay, you activate, and when there are no enemies, you try and hit notes, okay? But when there are enemies around that you can kill and collect MP from, you just hold down your button. Once you're ready to go, same thing. 1, 2, 3, you trigger your skills and off you go. But this is where the playstyle is different. Alright, so your fever time is going, you're feeling good, you just bust on everybody. Alright, you carry on, carry on, carry on. Once you run out of fever time, you don't stop. You just hold down the trigger, and you hope that your MP is enough to carry you. Alright? If your MP collector triggers enough, you can essentially just hold down the button and let the auto fire trigger your custom resources. Because the notes are continuously coming towards the center, so you can still build up. You can still build up by just holding down the button. See? Just like that. I'm holding down the button right now, which you can see right here. I'm still building up notes. Then 1, 2, 3, and off I go. This is the lazy playstyle where you can sort of skip the mini game a little bit and not care so much. So this can save you time, but it does rely a little bit on luck. If your luck is bad, alright, and you don't fill up the bar, and you start dropping to about half your MP, you want to start triggering notes, alright? So you still need to be aware of how to play the minigame, but under the right circumstances, with enough enemies to kill, you can kind of skip the minigame. Just rely on MP Collector to, keep you going. And you'll be totally fine. See? Just like that. Alright, but if it gets down to about 50%, that's when I take some extra measures and I say, okay, I'm about down to 50% MP, I'm going to try to hit notes. But you will see that I'm clearly able to save time because I can just literally not care. Most of the time, you'll be able to not care and have a fantastic time. Just busting on everything like that. Alright? If your triple beam ever runs out, you can trigger it just to keep the triple beam going. But that's essentially the playstyle. The lazy playstyle involves MP Collector. You play the same way, but you don't need to care too much. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Fever time up. Bust on everything. And then you just hold down the trigger button.
Picking up void mutant signals. Be careful.
Once it's over, you're still doing the same thing. 2, 3. And off you go. Kill the elite, kill the ships. You're just basically relying on MP collector. You do lose out a little bit of damage, but you can ignore the minigame for the most part. Alright, you still can't totally ignore it, but when you're farming, being able to ignore the minigame is pretty good. Alright, so the playstyle is just beautiful. Alright. As long as there's enemies, I just hold down the button.
Get a real feel for it.
And 1, 2, 3, and off I go.
Primary tactical objective confirmed.
I wait for the primary target to show up, then focus beam. Now, if you get knocked down, your whole thing ends. Remember that. So you want to be a bit careful. If you get knocked down, your whole thing ends. But here's the best part. You can actually stun these bosses too. I love it. I love to make them just stand there when I'm busting on them. It's so funny. And then they just die out. Alright. So that's the lazy playstyle, and that's the active playstyle. Choose whichever one works for you. Alright. If you are unsure, lazy playstyle, MP collector. Active playstyle, Decimator. Alright. Both work just fine, but when farming, I really recommend the lazy playstyle. Thank you, Austin, by the way, for telling me about that. The lazy playstyle is just, you can just be unaware. Alright. I'm not saying it's foolproof, because you do have to keep an eye on your MP, but it works pretty well. Now, here are some advanced tips. Okay. Couple of things I'm going to teach you. I'm going to talk you through them first before we apply them.
It's time to dance.
When the ships come in, always aim down sights. Because if you're just using the auto aim, it'll trigger on enemies that are here. That's why when the ship comes in, you see me aiming down sights to focus all my beams on the target. Okay? When aiming down sights, there's slight recoil. You can actually choose to reduce recoil. FYI. Okay? But it's not necessary whether you do so or not. If you want to reduce recoil, then instead of marksman, you can put in any of the recoil stabilizer with firearm attack. So stance stabilizer is usually a good choice. Slot that in there, and you can reduce the recoil, the low recoil, to nothing when aiming down sights. It will not bother most people, but if you're on a controller and you find it bothers you, you can use a recoil mod to reduce it to 0. Okay? And last but not least, please make sure you match the element of the enemy you are fighting if you are fighting a Colossus. If you are not fighting a Colossus, it doesn't matter. Also, fever time will end prematurely if you exit out of your first skill, so make sure you don't do that. Same thing if you mount your hover bike. Mounting a hover bike cancels your unique weapon, which means if you are in fever time goes away. So be careful of random button presses. You don't want that to happen to you. All right? Those are all the little advanced tips. Now, let's see if you can keep up with my timing. All right? Let's take it from the top. But this time I'm not going to talk you through it. All right? I'm just going to go in and bust. And man, I failed to climb multiple times. All right? Yes, I'm a bad driver. I know it's stereotypical. Okay, let's go. You guys ready? Let's do this for real.
Descendant, a large cluster of breach creatures has been detected in the area. Descendant, there's a tactical objective that requires protection. Please confirm.
All right, here we go.
Feel amazing.
This time, without me saying anything, see if you can understand the playstyle.
Identified.
Okay? I'm gonna be focusing solely on doing my job.
Boldest special assault ship spotted.
You see what I just did there? Yeah?
Get a real feel for it.
Okay, I missed one assault ship, but that doesn't matter. The one that I missed, I'll just take them out. Okay. Objective has spawned. I move on.
Descendant, there is a tactical objective which needs to be destroyed. Requesting confirmation. Protection target nearby. Confirm the location.
Ships first. A little bit of active gameplay mixed in. Sometimes RNG does not treat you well. That's okay. That's why you still got to be able to hit notes. All right. If RNG don't treat you well,
be careful.
try to get the ships before they drop. Try to avoid. You can avoid knockdowns for most of these creatures by sidestepping. So do take note. Prioritize avoiding a knockdown over other objectives unless it's very urgent. Why do you want to prioritize that? Because you get a knockdown, you lose everything. It's annoying. So try to avoid getting knocked down no matter what. Okay, waste of a few time, but that's alright. Off we go.
Descendant, there's a tactical
I always get off
that
my hover
requires
bike and I'm
protection.
already ready.
Please confirm.
Alright, be ready to aim quickly. There we go. Trigger it. Trigger your fever time.
Focus special
No need to
assault
think
ships
further,
spotted.
right? Missed one ship there.
Picking
Whoops.
up void mutant signals. Be careful.
Lazy playstyle, not much to worry about. Occasionally, if you mess up the timings, alright, and one skill goes on cooldown, that's not too bad. If all three skills go on cooldown, you seriously screwed up the timing. So the most important thing is to get used to the triggering timing. Alright, keep saying 1, 2, 3 to yourself until you get the rhythm going. Once you get the rhythm, you're good. But if you don't get the rhythm yet, you know, 1, 2, 3. That's how you do it, alright? It slightly shortens your fever time by doing it that way, but once you get the rhythm, you will have the full power of your fever time without worrying. It's all about practice, getting used to it, and just being a badass, alright?
Primary tactical objective confirmed. Requesting search and destroy.
Always try to avoid the knockdown where possible. Yeah, stay right there. This is why I like to, when solo, I like to trigger the second skill first. Because it just makes it so easy. Stun them, and you're good to go. Alright, and that's a guide on how you play Ultimate Luna. I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to register me as your content creator. Be sure to check out my SoundCloud. The more tracks you play, the quicker I release my K-pop for you guys. And of course, big thank you to all of September's top supporters. The list has actually been updated, but the updated list will be in about 2 videos time, usually because there's a bit of a lag when I update my videos and stuff like that. I try to squeeze as much into my day as I can, and I don't want to delay my videos for you guys. So thank you very much. I hope this helps you guys. See you on the next one. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. All right, this is how you roll. This is how you play Ultimate Luna. Have a good time.